Hello guys, welcome back to my M272 engine timing repair series. In part 4, we tackled removal of the cam adjusters and removed the timing cover. We also found out that the drivability problems, the rattling noise upon cold start, and consequently, the check engine light illumination were due to multiple broken timing chain guides. In part 5, we will remove the cylinder heads, which is a necessary step for replacement of all the timing guides. We will also replace the timing chain guides and the timing chain. Let's jump right into it. Here is a tip. When removing a head on a V engine, it is usually best to rotate the engine so that the head is vertical, eliminating the inclined component to its weight. This will prevent the weight of the head from resting on the bolts as you break the torque. While this is not a required step in a V-head removal, it is good practice as it reduces the likelihood of stripping the block threads or bolt threads, even if ever so slightly. This is a game of small margins. The timing chain guides are held in place by internally threaded pin inserts, one of which you can see me unscrewing here. The inserts go through the guides and into the head. So, to remove the head, we need to remove the pin inserts. I use this special Mercedes-Benz tool, part number BAU B1162033, which pretty much works like a slide hammer. All you need to do is thread the tool into the pins and slide the tool's weight back and forth. If you don't want to purchase the tool, you could use the 1 bolt and 2 nuts method, but that can turn ugly very quickly if the bolt breaks in the head or something messy like that. I don't recommend doing that. As you can see, this guide has a few chips on it with sections of the guiding lip completely sheared off. I started to mess with the half piece to see if I could get it out without removing the head. But that was as far as wishful thinking could get me. It was time to pull the head. Over here on my phone, I have the head bolts tightening pattern. Regardless of whether I change the head gasket or not, I like to remove head bolts in the reverse of the tightening sequence. I had to rein in a bit of leverage to break the torque on the head bolts. The head bolts were torqued in pretty good. I had to support the entire engine stand with my thigh while leaning on the engine a bit to use my body weight to prevent it from moving. Before I could break the head free, I had to remove the cam adjusters and the sections of the timing chain, engage with them. Next, I went to bank 2 and pulled the timing chain guide pins out, and the head was off. I did not have any symptoms that suggested an issue with my gasket, but I won't be reusing them. They can get slightly warped when torqued down, so I don't recommend reusage. I removed both head gaskets and spent some time prepping the cylinder head and block surfaces for when I installed the new head gasket. As you can see, I got some much needed help from these capable hands on prepping the surfaces on bank 2. After that was done, it was time to install the broken timing chain guides and the new timing chain. I also changed the timing chain tensioner, but I have not made mention of that so far. It is hiding behind the alternator on the right side of the block. Mercedes-Benz says the tensioner is one-time use, so you will need to replace it. I wanted to replace the timing chain, so the next step was to break it first. The chain cannot be removed without separating it as it sits behind the oil pump chain. But before I get to that, you can see I am holding the chain in place with 2 zip ties to prevent it from moving while I attempt to break the link. Also, don't pay too much attention to the timing chain guides as they appear to be installed already. I was just trying them out. I will install the guides properly shortly, and this should be done with the engine upside down. I use this tool with part number 6025890233300 to separate the chain. To use the tool, you will need to install the threaded die so that its pin is in line with the pin of the timing chain. Then tighten the die to press the chain's pin out. Once you have pressed the pin out, back up the threaded die and the threaded insert on the other side, and then remove the pin. Now it is time to install the timing chain guides. As I mentioned, I was going to install the guides with the engine upside down. I find that helps the guides to stay in place better and not flop around so much. I turned the engine upside down and began installing the guides. I installed the first guide, the second, and making sure to clean them thoroughly before install, I installed the third guide. Note that at this point, I have not installed the fourth guide, the long one on the right or bank 1. I saved that for later. I don't know if my mind is playing tricks on me, but the old chain appears to have stretched a bit. Maybe it's my viewing angle, but you can judge for yourself. Either way, I'm replacing the old chain, and I suggest you do too if you take on this job. You do not want to get back into the timing setup just because you try to save a little money on a new timing chain. Installing the timing chain is fairly straightforward. You just need to make sure one of the copper links on the timing chain aligns with the 3 marks on the balance shaft. If you do it correctly, the other 3 will be aligned as shown. The one at the bottom, that is, when you turn the engine upright, will line up with the crank gear, and the other 2 will line up with the marks on the camshaft gears. But all you need to do is to make sure one of the copper links line up with the 3 marks on the balance shaft. You may need to remove the guides temporarily while installing the chain to enable easy maneuverability of the chain during chain installation. The next thing is to join the 2 ends and close the timing chain loop using the same tool with which I separated the old chain. This time though, I used the dies that come with the toolkit to prevent the pins from being pushed in too far out of the link. Because I was working alone, it was a bit difficult to film closing the timing chain loop as I had to turn the chain in various positions. I recommend you get someone to hold the chain for you when doing this. At this point, my chain is fully closed and I am ready to start putting the timing cover back on. The other long timing chain guide does not go in just yet. We will deal with that soon. And this is how I sign off on part 5. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing, sharing and turning on notification. See you guys in part 6. Bye for now.